and got it. So, Jao, it's been more than 7. It doesn't feel like it's been 7 weeks since we last talked, man. But you know what? I want to talk about our friend Kat and her current webtoon, Our Next 7 Weeks. And yes, I'm
Yes.
not confused about that anymore. That's actually the title of the webtoon.
Yeah. It's not bad. Just for context, everybody that's listening to Bodega Nights that might not be listening to or might not be a listener to the Cast Garden. One of our recent guests is a self-published author, and one of her current projects is a webtoon called Our Next 7 Weeks. And we just got through reading it. There isn't very much there yet. It's one of those like episodic kind of things, and it's a mood. How do kids these days say that sort of thing? Like it's a mood.
It's lit AF FR for real, for real.
I mean,
Yes.
that's not really what I'm looking to say, right? Because it isn't lit, it isn't explosive.
All right.
It's moody.
But it hits you right in the feels, man.
That's cool. It's
There you
moody. It's moody. It hits you like straight in the feels. It feels very slow and introspective. In comic books, there's this thing called a silent issue, which is pretty much an entire like comic book episode, not an episode, but like a comic issue where there isn't any dialogue, where there aren't any text bubbles. It's just all of the action is like visual. This feels kind of like that, even though they do have a little bit of dialogue going on. It feels like Wong Kar-wai. In the mood for love, that sort of thing. Like that's that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from it. So it's a vibe.
It's a vibe. I see. It's a vibe. I like that. And for me, I also like the art. Pretty much love it. Like I've been checking out a couple of webtoons, and the art here in Our Next 7 Weeks is totally top notch. Like it has to be up there. So big props to AE Veternal. I think I got the name right. And yeah, our friend Kat is the storyteller. Her name there is Rainy Ragdoll.
Yeah,
So
and it's
we want to ragdoll you to the direction of Our Next 7 Weeks. It's at penlab.inc/r-next-7-weeks. You can check it out there. I think right now they're in chapter what? When we're recording chapter 10 or chapter 11.
yeah.
Wait, it's episodic.
Yeah, like I
Okay.
said, it's episodic. They
Haha.
use episode. Their nomenclature is episode. So we're on episode 9 right now.
9. Yeah, okay. So maybe when we release this, it may be episode 10, guys. And I'm telling you, you are gonna love the the part of chapter 9 or episode 9, because it's gonna make you say, "What?" That's all I can say. I can't spoil it, but you're gonna have that "what" moment if you read it. So long as you read the first 8 episodes beforehand, obviously, unless you want to go in blind and just jump into the last one. I mean, we're not stopping you. So
Yeah, but if I'm being honest, you do need those first 8 like
of course.
issues in order for the thing that
Context.
happens in 9 to be like impactful. So, you know.
And that's it, guys.
Yeah, Our Next 7 Weeks. Great art, great story. Pretty good.
And now, back to our show. Bodega Nights. Hit the intro.
Oh, that was the crossover. That was the crossover with the Cast Garden.
Yep. And we are here at Bodega Nights recording at a weekend night. My name is Martin. We got Jao. And since Jao mentioned Cast Garden, yeah, that's our friend Kat Olan, who has been our guest for the past 3 episodes. And I think when we drop this, we'll have another guest.
Maybe.
Our friend Rods, right?
Yeah, Rods. He's a magician, right? And after talking to him, it was like a lot of my old interests started coming back to me. And you actually mentioned that we've been doing this whole podcasting thing for like a decade or whatever, and like it's I've been doing a lot of card magic. It's so annoying that like I'm going to start like having these vices again. Like,
By vices, you mean card magic.
yeah, by vices I mean like, oh my god, my wife is gonna kill me when I show up with like 10 decks of cards in the house and being like, oh, here, pick a card, haha, you know, like,
Oh, man.
watching. I've been watching this Spanish magician called Danny D'Ortiz, which is, you know,
Okay.
Spanish magicians are amazing as a general rule, and he just has this amazing like any card at any number, and David and I have been freaking out about it. I was like, how does he do that? And another thing that I've been getting into lately is origami. It was one of my
Oh.
interests as a very young child, right? And we were at a client meeting the other day with my wife, right? She was talking to the clients, and I was pretty much being the secretary there. And the clients brought their son, who's probably like 5, 6, maybe 7 years old. And if there's something you know about kids that age, they just get really bored really fast.
Oh, yeah.
Like, kid didn't have a cell phone on him, right? So like what I ended up doing was making a shuriken, right? Making one of those like ninja star things with like 2 pieces of paper. I gave it to the kid and he's like, oh my God, how you do that? And I was like, I'm going to teach you how to do it right here, right now. And for the next like 20 minutes or whatever, I was just teaching this kid how to make a shuriken while simultaneously printing out documents for like the client. And the amazing thing was I was able to get that kid to sit down and shut up.
Whoa. Because of the interest that is the shuriken thing.
Yeah.
Because usually, like, how old's the kid? 5, 6?
Thereabouts. Yeah.
Because, like, when I was that, I'd be annoying and running around in circles.
Right? The thing about the law firm is that it's in a pretty small space, and so I was like really scared as well. Like, oh no! And we're on the 3rd floor, so if the kid starts running outside, like it's an even bigger problem. So I'm like, hey kid,
way bigger problem.
here's a shuriken that you can show to your friends, and hopefully don't throw it at them and like poke their eye out. But
so, can you teach him? Sure, you can.
Yes. Hadouken.
Hadouken. Hatfutsensuken. And yes, this is our tie-up for Street Fighter 6. Totally not sponsoring this episode of Bodega Nights.
Not sponsored. But speaking of sponsorships, you are sponsoring a wrestler, right?
No. It's complicated. We can't talk about it here. But Channel 14 in its 10th year anniversary is part organizer of a wrestling event or a wrestling card event that's co-organizing a wrestling event the same day. It's kind of complicated, but basically, Jao, everyone listening, we have an event August 21st. It's called Dexcon, and just like Jao, I have a vice that involves cards, and that's wrestling trading cards, specifically of Veer Mahan, Omos, and Dante Chen. But who's asking, right? So yeah, Dexcon is on August 21st. I think it's going to be lunchtime onwards, maybe lunch up to 5 p.m. Because 5 p.m. I showed you a Facebook reel that lines up a few matches, wrestling matches. That is our tie-up, Dexcon's tie-up with World Underground Wrestling Philippines. So while Dexcon is happening at S Brood Cafe in Bulusan Street, Quezon City on August 21st that afternoon. And guys, may I remind you, Dexcon on August 21st is free. So just go in the cafe and spend as much as you want to get your trading cards. Have a grand old time. Make sure you tip the waitress when you order the drinks. Pretty good drinks there. Good coffee, good hot chocolate, good mozzarella balls. The balls are all right. What else can I say?
I'm just imagining this on the back of like, or like on like the door or on the menu or something of the cafe, right? Like the balls are all right.
Actually, that was the name of the mozzarella balls.
The balls
at
are all
one
right.
point when they tied up with MWF. All right, balls.
All right.
All right.
The balls are all right.
All right. It's more than all right. It was pretty good. So yeah, Dexcon, it's like we're thankful to be part of it. Channel 14, that's Channel 14, Fight Sport Manila, The Nutcase, our friends at Kayfabe Cafe, World Underground Wrestling, and the Wrestling Boy PH. We're all there for the card event, but we're also there like late afternoon at the place next door, which is like Brawl Pit Balusan, home of some MWF shows, some World Underground Wrestling shows, where there will be Woo PH's August 21st event that will be headlined by like two international wrestlers, Yao. That's going to be Singapore Pro Wrestling's Alexis Lee, returning for, I think, her third go-round or fourth go-round here in the Philippines, taking on Malaysian pro wrestler Poppy. Not to be confused with that, that rock star that made the song of NXT a few years back. That's a different Poppy, guys. But, bear with me on this. She's famous in Malaysia as part of APAC Wrestling. But aside from those two in the main event, we also have to talk about our local stars. So if we showed you the reel, you'll see former MWF champion, the inaugural MWF champion, Robin Sane, who's now part of Wu, will take on Zera, the guy who I think, Jao, you saw, who looks like Rey Mysterio with a Rey Mysterio mask.
Yeah. Luchador style.
Yeah, so it's like luchador high-flying style coming at you, Robin Sane versus Zera. Then you're going to get a brawl out between two people who are matandana. I mean, matagal na sa industriya. That's the Bidra Vena versus Razael. All right. And, of course, we can't have Wu without our homeboy from Mandaluyong. That's Ken Cypher, who's actually taking on one of the international guests here, called Steve the Teacher. So yeah, that bald guy right there, you guys saw that. So there we go. And aside from those four matches and the main event, which is Singapore versus Malaysia, we have two of the biggest names in Philippine pro wrestling today, with Crystal and Jake De Leon making special appearances, man. So the question is, will we see either of them in a match? I don't know. Who knows? But that they'll be there. So you better be there. And I think the ticket prices are at what? There's a meet and greet. There's a ticket price without a meet and greet. And if you guys are watching Road to Fate, MWF, you have a 100 pesos off of any of the tickets there. If you bought anything from our friends at Fight Sport Manila, be it the MWF Action cards, Crystal Kiss card, the PWOG's t-shirt I'm wearing right now in recording, you also have a 100 peso discount, but that's the maximum discount you can get. So either or. So choose the 100 peso discount at the counter, or when you pay through GCash through our friend Linus from Kayfabe Cafe. There are also other options where you can just pay at the front door. There you go. So yeah, guys, August 21st, Zhao, I can't believe after 10 years we're actually sponsoring or being a co-organizer of a wrestling event. Ain't that wild?
And this was after, this is a couple of years after Jobber Talk is no longer a show.
Indeed, Jobber Talk had to die for Channel 14 to rise up.
we should probably make a separate wrestling show. Not Jobber Talk, but a completely new wrestling show where we talk
Wrestle Talk with someone has Wrestle Talk.
Yeah, and we're supposed to support them, right?
Yeah, but no, you only support Channel 14, not you, Ollie Davis.
Oh man, so, yeah. I actually really like that sort of family of YouTube channels, like the British guys.
Yeah,
like Cultaholic,
Wrestle Talk,
and
Cultaholic.
Yeah, the Cultaholic boys, and I keep thinking No Rules Barred, but then that's the board game one, right? The Adam Blampier's board game channel. Anyway,
Jawa, thank you for letting me plug this shit up as a tie-up, because I'm very excited. And guys, if you're into card collecting, there's a lot of things you may want to see there, even rare cards that we'll put on auction, especially since the owner of Wu PH, or at least the head honcho, St. John Martin, yeah, his name is also Martin, has tons of rare cards. I have a feeling he'll be selling some of those, or at least auctioning one or two of those. So yeah. There we go, guys. Dexcon in the afternoon. Woo X Dexcon presents Woo August 21st. It's gonna be a fun August 21st holiday in QC, baby. So be there or be square.
Be there and be in the squared circle or something.
Yes, or what's the square circle?
Yeah. So, like, speaking of events and whatnot, I might be in Manila in December.
Oh,
To watch the Mobile Legends, the MLBB World Championship.
MLBB, bang bang.
MLBB.
MLBB.
Yeah, MLBB.
So from Cactus Jack bang bang to Mobile Legends bang bang, pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how this ties up because Poppy's from Malaysia, and in Malaysia there's gonna be the first part of this thing, the M5, and then it goes here
M5.
in the Philippines. So pretty cool stuff, man. I gotta ask you because I'm not into this. I guess I was surprised you're into MOBA, like Mobile Legends, because I know you're a Hearthstone guy.
No, I'm
'Cause
not. I'm
You're
not.
not?
My wife is.
Oh shit, your wife is okay. So
She likes Mobile Legends.
I think Migs and Ling are totally gonna vibe because I know Migs is also into Mobile Legends and into certain teams like Bren, whatever.
Yeah, AV
So
Brand
what's
and
your
all of that.
what's your wife's team in this tournament?
I do not know. One of the Filipino teams, I guess.
Like Echo or Blackfist?
Bren,
I don't know
Echo,
if I
I don't
got the right one. I'm not sure the teams.
Echo, go Orcas, go Orcas.
The Orcas.
Although they're
Which
part of like a larger Southeast Asian
Oh,
like
group.
esports group, right? Like
I guess so.
Echo is basically one of the subsidiaries of an Indonesian esports company. So
Oh, dang.
it's like the Filipino branch of an Indonesian company or something. I mean, like we have a number of those sorts of things. Like RSG has a Singapore team and a Philippine team, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know, but it's probably going to be one of like AP Bren, Blacklist International, or Echo, maybe RSG. I don't know which team she supports. All I know is that she likes Mobile Legends a lot more than I do.
Okay. What's fun
I'm
is
not-
like even in Brazil there's like that one. Like it's also a big thing.
Yeah,
Like Mobile Legends. But sadly I heard from the Liquipedia.net
Mhm.
Brazil and LAN-LAS now no longer has a region guaranteed spot. Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's like it's huge in Southeast Asia. Mobile Legends, like it's for anybody here that is listening that isn't from Southeast Asia. You know how in the US the big thing is Xbox, right? Like a lot of esports in the US center around that sort of thing. So stuff like Call of Duty and all of the
Odd.
yeah, like those sorts of games, right? Like North American Counter-Strike is supposedly a joke, right? In Europe the big game is Counter-Strike, right? Like
Oh.
this is-
Dang. Okay.
yeah, man. Like some of the most amazing Counter-Strike matches are like. Well, actually, Counter-Strike is also quite big in Brazil, I believe. There
guess
was
so. CS:GO, it's kind of okay here too, right? In Philippines.
it's but it just fails in comparison to Mobile
ML.
Legends and Dota, right? But more Mobile Legends because it's a lot more accessible. Everybody here has a cell phone, so when I hang out in the smoking areas and malls and stuff, you just see people on their coffee/smoke breaks just playing Mobile Legends in the corner. It's like that your turret has been whatever the enemy has been slain or whatever it is. And when I was a teacher, man, our kids were really into Mobile Legends as well. During the intramurals, we had a Mobile Legends tournament. It was like an intergrade Mobile Legends tournament or something. So it was like the 11th graders versus the 12th graders, I believe. And never have I seen so much passion from students, Like, I wish they were that passionate about media and information literacy, but, it was really weird, right? Because, during the intro, I was like, yeah, people were really into stuff. But when the Mobile Legends, or when the esports, because we had like League of Legends as well, but it wasn't really that big. But when Mobile Legends hit, like everybody was in that little auditorium. Even like the people that were manning the booths in the cafeteria, like the workers from the waffle booth in the cafeteria and the barista at the coffee, like little coffee booth in the cafeteria, they all went into that little auditorium and were just like yelling. It was amazing. It was glorious. So yeah, like Mobile Legends is huge in Southeast Asia, and I'm quite excited to attend this with my wife, because we were supposed to watch the Bali Masters, Hearthstone.
Oh, okay.
Right, and we kind of set aside a little bit of money for that, and this was supposed to be in April of 2020, I think. So we were like ready to go, and then all of a sudden the world shut down.
Oof.
And all of the tournaments went online. So they were like, oh man, we were excited to, attend an esports event that, we both really wanted to attend. So yeah, I suppose this could be the drop-in replacement for
third world gaming.
This could be the drop-in replacement for the Hearthstone event, or the Bali Masters that was supposed to be like our vacation. But Mobile Legends,
bang bang,
bang bang,
bang bang.
I might have mentioned this on a Third World Linux episode, or a Third World Gaming episode. But if I'm being completely honest, I do not like MOBAs. Like,
same here.
I don't
Sorry,
like
guys.
I don't like the MOBA. And I have a great explanation for it, I guess. It doesn't have anything to do with like, oh my God, everybody's into it. So, whatever. It was because I was really into Warcraft 2 and StarCraft, right? So, the RTS games that I played growing up were Warcraft 2, the expansion, right? Tides of Darkness, I believe, right? Warcraft 2 and StarCraft, and Brood War. And so when Warcraft 3 came out, one of the things that I really did not like was the hero system, because that was where that was when it first got introduced, right? You had your usual army, but then you had to babysit like one hero, and you got to level it up and all of that sort of thing. And like, Age of Mythology did it as well, right? Big fan of Age of Empires. Age of Mythology did it as well. And I was like, oh my God, is this the direction that real-time strategy games are going to go for? Like, we have the hero thing. I just want to have big armies clash into each other. I don't want to have to babysit one hero. And so, that was the one thing that I didn't like about Warcraft 3. Right? That was the one thing I didn't like about Warcraft 3, because Warcraft 3 was when they introduced heroes, and this guy named Ice Frog decided to do a UMS where he took that one thing that I didn't like about Warcraft 3, i.e. the heroes, and turned it into its own little like UMS game, and he called it Defense of the Ancients.
Oh man.
And so it was like
that.
And so it was like, all right, so here's Dota. It's a game that's quite popular, but it is taking the one game mechanic of Warcraft 3 that I didn't like and turning it into its own game.
Oof.
It would be like, what's the most annoying thing about pro wrestling for you?
For me right now,
Yeah.
if I watch it, it's if you see that they just focus either more on the 20-minute promos, but I know the current storyline, I like it, but before it's those like the Triple H's starts Raw with a 20-minute freaking promo of someone he's gonna face for the belt, but he's still gonna win anyway because he's freaking Triple H.
All right, now imagine that the WWE spun off their own spun off another wrestling show. They called it They called it promo power, and it was like an hour of just promos.
And no wrestling whatsoever.
And no wrestling, right? Like 20-minute promo after 20-minute promo with absolutely no wrestling whatsoever. I mean, I'm sure there can be good drama that exists there.
You took my jab!
Right? Like, you know, like God knows that you have these theatrical performances or theater performances that are just one-man shows. And some of those are just tremendously entertaining, right? And you can see somebody as charismatic, perhaps, as like CM Punk or John Cena, hold on to an audience for an entire hour while he's talking, or hell, Chris Jericho, right? And, you know, that can be done. You can have amazing promos, but there are just some people that don't like promos.
We're here for wrestling.
If,
right?
Yeah, and if you spun that out into its own show where it was just an hour of demagoguery, I'm sure some people would like it, but some people won't. Well, actually, I think an interesting sort of analog would be when it comes to pro wrestling, you have a number of different types of pro wrestling, right? Like you have your strong style guys, like your Shinsuke Nakamura's, right? And then you have, you know, your guys like Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy who venture into sort of flights of fancy, like The Undertaker, that sort of thing. And then, you know, you have the very heavy drama, sort of the Usos, right? These are different types of professional wrestling. And some people like some types more than others. Like, I'm sure there are some people that absolutely hate the idea of having like this undead kind of dude whose main thing is like, I can control lightning, or, you know, or something like that, you know, the more fantastical kind of storyline stuff. Your Kanes, your Undertakers, your Bray Wyatts, your Matt Hardys, right? And if you spin that off into its own show, some people might hate it. Other people are going to absolutely love it. God knows I'd love to have just an entire hour full of like all of that overproduced, like, I am a resurrected demon or whatever. Or some people quite like Lucha Underground. Other people, not so much. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like taking Rey Mysterio and spinning him off into his own show, at least to the American viewers. Right? Because, you know, your typical, like, kid that's coming up into wrestling is going to see like Rey Mysterio and might like him, might not like him. Now, Lucha Underground was pretty much, you take Rey Mysterio and spin him off into his own show. At least that's how you might pitch it to somebody that doesn't know any better. And I think that's Dota.
Oh, okay.
Dota is taking one element of WWE and spinning it off into its own show. Taking one element of Warcraft and spinning it off into its own show. Taking, you know, Rey Mysterio or the luchador style and spinning it off into its own show. That is, you know, some people might like it. In fact, it became more popular. In fact, Warcraft Dota 3 became more popular than Warcraft 3.
So much that it overtook Counter-Strike like by what, 2005 or 6?
Yeah, but that's my explanation as to why I do not like massively multiplayer online battle arenas, MOBAs. That's the reason I don't like MOBAs, because it spun off the one thing that I didn't like about Warcraft 3 into its own game mode. And it just left a kind of bad taste in my mouth in a way. But I can absolutely see why people like it, and it's fun to watch. I am going to say that that MOBAs are fun to watch. It's just kind of tough if you don't know the heroes. That's kind of, but then that's a larger problem with like esports, you know, like when my wife watches StarCraft, she just doesn't get it because she doesn't understand the dynamics of like Mutalisk Micro versus a clump of Marines and medics. Like you know, she doesn't understand the subtlety, the intricacy, the, you know, sort of nuance that goes into that particular matchup. And you can appreciate it in the sense that, like, oh, here are a bunch of dudes with guns, and here's like this pack of flying things, and you see them like attack each other, and you can sort of understand what goes on there. You can kind of understand it, but you can't appreciate it with the same depth as, say, I would appreciate that sort of matchup, or the same way that AG would appreciate that sort of matchup. And I fully understand that my wife enjoys Mobile Legends, watching Mobile Legends, probably in the same way that I enjoy watching StarCraft.
Okay.
With
Then
like
that's
a
good.
deeper understanding of the game. That isn't to say that I don't have fun watching it. It's just I don't understand it with the same depth that somebody that plays it, quite a lot.
Or watches or likes the lore. Actually, I don't even know who the characters of Mobile Legends are. I just see, oh, someone's playing MOBA. That's cool. Yeah, there you go.
Right? But it isn't even so much the lore, it's just what the characters do. Because the way that MOBAs work is one character counters another character, counters another, well, one hero counters another hero, counters another hero, counters another hero. So, once you have all of that, and you understand which hero counters which hero, and you put those two teams with heroes that counter each other together, it becomes a little bit more interesting than simply watching, a bunch of dudes like smacking each other,
Yeah. Smacking. At the map, guys. In the map of MLBB, okay? Not in the
Yeah. So
yeah, I kinda get it.
that's it. Like, there is a certain depth of understanding that comes with playing the game a lot and knowing the heroes inside out, knowing which heroes counter which heroes, which builds do well against which other builds, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for me, though, I just appreciate the fact that the finals will be here. And it's weird because it's not the only thing we're hosting this year. Because, like, I think, obviously, there's another kind of tournament happening around the Philippines, or mostly in NCR area, which is the FIBA World Championships, the basketball, right? It's happening here, too. So,
oh my god,
I can't. I'm gonna brace myself for traffic because of those things. That's all I can say. Wish us luck for traffic.
It wasn't big news when our national football, when our women's team made it to the World Cup.
Yeah, that's sad because we focus more on basketball, and I think we should focus more on that because, like, I think my advantage was I liked the page of our embassy in New Zealand, so I saw the team being welcomed by our fellow Filipinos in New Zealand when they flew off there.
Yeah.
So I'm well abreasted with the news, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. And they had a game today, right?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we're not going to do well, right?
But,
because it isn't part of our culture. But the fact that they actually made it into the World Cup final, at least women's, right?
Yeah, and they actually won a game.
Yeah,
that's actually big. That's like historic, and I feel like it should be said more now. But what was the joke? Why we should focus more on football than basketball? Was it the height?
I don't think it's a joke. I think, like, absolutely we should focus more on football as opposed to basketball. And I can give you a very good reason. The NBA is racist.
Oh, yeah, that's actually true. That's actually very.
Right? And the best example of just how racist the NBA is Jeremy Lin.
And that happened, guys, like 11 years ago. He was so big. Linsanity was running wild, right? In New York.
Yeah, right? So it's like, Jeremy Lin, one of the greatest, well, not one of the greatest, but like very, very good player, got absolutely nowhere.
After Linsanity.
Yeah, right? Like,
Like, let's be fair. They tried to give him a good run. Houston tried to team him up, but it didn't work. He went to, I think, Brooklyn or Charlotte, but he got hurt. That's why he lost the season. The irony of the situation was, guess who had the championship ring compared to him and Melo at one point? It was Jeremy Lin, but the problem was he was not being used that much in the Toronto Raptors team where he won a ring of. And the next season, I think he played to China again because no team wanted to get him or no team was signing him.
Right? That's the
And it's
thing.
sad.
No team is going to sign him, no matter how good Kai Soto is. He's not going to make it in the NBA.
And it's so sad because you had people chanting him to get in, and here's this person who was coaching the team. They were losing. I mean, why would you ride 9 to 10 of your guys when you can't even ride half of your bench there where Kai Soto was in the first few games?
So, you know,
Yeah.
the
We're
NBA
not
is
saying it's racism, but yeah.
No, I'm just gonna straight up say it. Like the NBA is racist against Asians, and you know it's their league, whatever. So
Yeah.
fine. Why do we aspire to that, right?
Mhm.
So you know my thought on it is really we should be focusing on something like soccer or football or whatever, right? Because the best footballers in the world are brown people.
Hey. But yeah, the joke was like because of the height thing, but if you check the height of the other teams versus the Philippines, I'll stop at that.
But there's also a height advantage that comes into play when you're playing football.
Yeah, so I think I saw the other teams, they were way taller than our team, but hell, we still won.
Yeah,
So that's it's still a cap to our, feather to our cap, guys.
yeah. It's I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make a really bad comparison. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
The World Cup in South Africa back in the day. When was that? That was back in 2010, I believe it was. Or
Oh, the Waka Waka thing?
yeah. I think it was
Yeah,
2010 where the world was introduced to the glorious vuvuzela. The AFC contingent fielded, can't believe they made it, North Korea. And that was, I would think, akin to the Philippine women's team making it to the World Cup, right? Because
Okay.
who would have thought that the men's team in that
Korea.
North Korea would make, and they won against like a pretty big team in the first round. So,
Damn. Okay. Oh yeah, 2010. You're right, man. And the last time they were there, 2010 South Africa was in 1966 pa, apparently.
yeah, so I mean that's something that I remember very clearly. Like of course you have all of the mainstays, man, like from, UEFA, like England has to be there and Spain has to be there and Italy, right? And from the South American Federation, like Brazil and Argentina have to be there, obviously. Right. And yeah, fine, Asians, right? The Japanese and the South Koreans had to be there, but the North Koreans, come on.
Oh, that was right, yeah.
So, that's sort of like the Philippines in a way. Like, our women's team was like, come on, really? So,
But we did make it.
we did make it, right? But I don't know, man. I don't know. We should be playing football.
Skulls were doing good, I heard. But I'm not into the football thing. So I wouldn't know. That's why I'm like, I just see people like at this time over the weekend when I was in Brazil, they're just like sitting outside drinking beer, watching the current football game happening on the TV screen. It's like a weekend pastime.
I don't know. Well, to be fair, in the Philippines, the Ilonggos are pretty into football. Like, you go to Iloilo, you have like really good football players there. So it isn't completely like that the Philippines is devoid of any sort of footballing culture. Iloilo has quite a thriving scene. But, Manila just likes boxing and basketball, right?
I think, yeah. Well, we did ace boxing thanks to a certain guy called Manny.
Yeah, I mean, like we are pretty good at boxing overall. The the thing that was squandered was billiards, like pool. Pool was
Oh
absolutely
God,
squandered.
yeah. I feel bad for Efren, but you know, if there was someone I felt like was who peaked or who was in the game way too early, it was him. I think had he been debuted in a decade after, where things would be more like out there, we can see it more, like because of the age of the internet. I
Yeah.
think he'd be bigger now had he started like a decade later and had he been a decade younger.
Uh,
He would
I
have
don't
aced
know.
it the same time or timeline as Manny Pacquiao.
I I I'll have to disagree a little bit on that
So
because
he was at the right time, right place.
yeah,
How did we squander it though? Or did we just stop from Efren and that was it? But I heard there were some other names like a Bustamante or something
oh
before.
yeah, Bustamante was
Yeah.
Efren and Bustamante were around the same time, you see. And then, eventually we had players like Dennis Orculio and God, why are the names like I know all of the names like Roberto Gomez. Like we have a lot of really good pool players, but nobody has ever made it to the level of Efren Reyes.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, because he's the most famous one.
And he was one of the best, like
Yeah.
legitimately one of the best pool players in the world. But there was no, I guess, follow through. I don't know. Not that there was no follow through, but like we just don't have any huge like stars. But then that isn't it really. We don't have any great players that transcend, Because like there was a time, right? Efren Reyes was freaking everywhere.
Yeah, man.
Every street corner had a pool hall. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Even in front of our school before it,
Yeah, before that all went down. Like
Yeah.
we had a pool hall in front of the school. We played there a lot. Well, I played there a lot, right? Rip that place. But I don't know. The world 9-ball or world 10-ball championships or something were held in Manila a couple of years in a row. So like there was a time when the Philippines was like a dominant force in pool alongside the Taiwanese and the Americans, and maybe
That's
the
true.
Germans, right? But like, we haven't been able to sort of not capitalize, but like it isn't something that was sustained in a way. So I don't know. Our next generation of players, while very good, don't seem to have the same support as our previous generation of pool players, but it is what it is. That being said, though, we have some amazing pool players still. Like, it's one of those
I know.
things that it's one of those things that anybody that's serious about pool, wherever you are in the world, if like you're serious about getting better at the game of pool, it's important that you come to the Philippines for a couple of weeks and just hang out in the bars and stuff.
And hone your like craft
Yeah.
as a pool hustler. Yeah.
Yeah, there was an episode of the Joe Rogan podcast,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Because Joe Rogan is really into pool, right? He's really into pool. He's really into billiards or whatever, and he had what's the name of that Russian guy? There was this really good Russian pool player.
Is he a Kurd guy?
Who?
Is he young?
Yeah. It's pretty-
Fedor Gorst or
yeah,
something?
Fedor Gorst. He was talking to
Okay.
Fedor Gorst, and they were talking about how like you need to come. Like Fedor Gorst came to the Philippines and got his ass kicked by like a bartender or something. Like back in the day, I got to play with like Mika Immonen, so it was a thing. It was the thing. And then, well, maybe pool has just sort of lost its relevance in the world stage as well, right? There was a time when we didn't have the World Pool Championships, and I don't know what it was, but I miss those days. I miss the days of having a pool hall in like every street corner. There's this place in Cebu called Kiosk.
Mhm.
It used to be one of those legendary like spots where if you wanted to see the best players in Cebu play, that's where you would go. I remember there was a guy there. We played a couple of games together, and he was just so good. He was amazing. And I was talking to somebody else, and I was like, "Yeah, that guy kicked the ass of Francisco Bustamante when he came to Cebu."
Oh wow!
All right, he kicked Django Bustamante's ass, and I was like, "Oh man." So, like, why didn't he join, like, tournaments and all of that stuff? And they're like, oh, yeah, because he's addicted to shabu. Like,
oh, crap, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Dorga.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's why he needs to be a hustler.
Daddy need his stove.
Yeah.
Braid. But yeah,
unfortunately, kiosk has closed down now.
Oh man,
it was one of the casualties of the pandemic. I think so. Like, it's just really sad. That was one of my hangouts, especially Anyway, go ahead.
High school?
No.
Grade school?
After college.
Oh, okay. So like when you came back to Cebu, it was still at least there.
Yeah, like I said, it only closed down about 4 years ago. Right.
Man.
When I was in law school.
Okay.
Right? Like,
Damn.
what did I learn in law school? 2 things. Pen spinning and billiards. But then, I also played in college, so whatever.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? But yeah, just like what you said, like hang out. I hope all of us can get to hang out when you guys drop by here for the M5. Just hit us up when you get the tickets, and we'll be a calling.
Go Orcas!
Yes, and you too. Other Philippine teams, yeah. Me have no knowledge of MLBB or whatever the hell. It's funny because some of my acquaintances are like ML casters. They have zero to no clue of what the hell this game is.
Well, it looks so much like League of Legends, right? There was actually a bit of a controversy, I think.
Oh, dude, did I tell you I actually finally got to play League of Legends in Korea?
Ooh.
Because I was in the airport. I had 8 hours to burn before heading to LA. There was this riot room or something, Riot Games, and one of the stations had a League of Legends, and dear God, it feels easier to play than Dota. No wonder people like it.
Yeah, it's
you don't waste your time like gobbling up sources just to get this mask of whatever or this treads of whatever the hell. You can actually upgrade yourself by actually killing things, and I don't know. I guess that's why it got popular. I guess ML is like that. It's not like Dota Part 1 that you have to do this and that and that and that just to upgrade and be the best. I don't know.
My wife plays a lot of Dota. Well, she used to play a lot of Dota. And then she started playing Mobile Legends. And then recently we installed Dota in one of the computers. And she started playing again. And she stopped playing because she was like, this game is too long compared to Mobile Legends, right? Mobile Legends is the perfect length for your your legally mandated coffee break, right? Like,
okay,
the law mandates that you have like a 15-minute break, 20-minute break. So, if you have a 15-minute break, that's just about the amount of time that it takes to play a quick sort of game of Mobile Legends.
Okay.
Whereas Dota, like 30 minutes is the average game time, like 30 to 40 minutes is the average game time. So Mobile Legends is a lot more consumable in that way, and it's not too big a shock to see how it became popular,
Yeah, I think that's why. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Maybe why it's easily more accessible and player friendly. I really hope. Because dear God, remember when we played COD? I'd rather play COD than Dota because it's more frustrating to play Dota for me.
Dota is long. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember AG talking about it because AG is really into Dota, and he was telling me like, "You're really into StarCraft, right?" Like, yeah, I'm really into StarCraft. Dota is much longer. The equivalent of a 4 pool in Dota is 15 minutes. I'm like, what? A 4 pool is something that you do in like 5 or 6 minutes to win the game. And, yeah, the super aggro thing in Dota being 15 minutes long, like, that's no bueno. So, you know, if you take Dota and shorten the game time, I guess that's Mobile Legends.